Okay. Now it tells me I'm not live, but as you and I both know, that's not true. So I'm just going to ramble for a little bit and we shall see. Yeah, okay, I'm supposed to be on Facebook now. So let me go over, say hello. Welcome to Tea and New Book Tuesday. I'm Lisa. I'll be your librarian today. So for today's Tea and New Book Tuesday, we're going to share our slides as soon as we find that button. Very important to find the button. Okay. Today on Tea and New Book Tuesday, we are going to hear about yellow labels. So here at Mobile Public Library, yellow labels tend to be mystery, crime, thriller, and suspense. So that, sorry, I had to make myself another cup of tea right before I started. This is my second of the day, and it's still really hot. Also doesn't have very much sugar in it because my sugar in my little thing has gone like it's a glacier and I have to now chip sugar off of it. I don't know. It's craziness. Anyway, the books today should be page turners, should be mysterious, should be not a thing you don't know until you get 3/4 of the way or all the way to the end. My tea today is my Tazo vanilla bean macaron, which is my favorite. And coming up this Saturday, we're going to have another outdoor movie, weather permitting, of course. We've had to cancel the last two because of rain and wind. And apparently the wind 2 weeks ago was pretty comical because it was just like bowing the screen into a taco. But weather permitting, we'll be able to do a lovely socially distanced event in the outdoor of Ben May Main's parking lot. You know us, we're the big white building on the corner of Government in Washington. It's at 6:30. Now the really good stuff, the giveaway. All right. Once again, I have 2 copies. So I can give away to 2 people. The Girls Are Also Nice Here by Laurie Elizabeth Flynn. It's described as a book that you will like if you like psychological thrillers told in alternating flashback structure, talking about mistakes made in college, contemporary consequences thereof, toxic friendships, and revenge served cold. Its release date is actually today. You could have it in your hands by Saturday morning. If you want to enter, simply type "I want to win" in the comments below and add your MPL location for pickup. I'm going to pull the winner on Saturday morning. All right, so let's get into it. Let's start talking about our books. Got our nonfiction, which is just one. I usually like to do true crime to go with the thrillers, and I really only found one this month. At Any Cost, A Father's Betrayal, A Wife's Murder, A 10-Year War for Justice. Written by Rebecca Rosenberg and Salem Aligar. This book is about, it's true crime, of course, like I said. On New Year's Eve, and I don't know if I'm going to pronounce the victim's name correctly, so bear with me. Shel Danishofsky was found dead in her bathtub in her Upper West Side apartment in New York City. The police ruled it as an accident. I think they thought she hit her head. And because her family were Orthodox Jews, they buried her without an autopsy, as in keeping with their religious beliefs. But she and her much younger husband had just had a difficult divorce and a custody battle. And she was about to go in to her lawyer and take him out of her will. She would have done that within 2 days of when she died. So obviously there were reasons to suspect him. This book covers the 10 years from when she died to her killer going to justice. It looks really interesting to me. There's not a lot of reviews to mention, but Publishers Weekly gave it a star review, meaning they wanted to single it out as a book they especially liked in this genre. If you're interested in At Any Cost, it comes out April 6th. All right, let's move on to the fiction. of which we have plenty. I was going to say, sorry, I've struggled with how to present series installments, especially when you go into thriller, because there's mysteries so often will have a series that is like 20 books in, because it's all the same investigator doing investigating different crimes. So the sort of compromise I've come to this month is everything you see here, or everything I'm about to discuss, is either a standalone or it's the first book in a series. If you guys still want to know what series installments are coming up in April, tell me that in the comments below, and I will add a list to Goodreads. There will be everything I know of so far. I'm probably not going to describe these because there's like 20 of them. There's just too many. But if you want to know, just let me know, and I'll add it to our Goodreads group. Okay, so going into our fiction, starting with Lies We Bury by Elmar. This is about Marissa Moe, who was raised in captivity. Captivity in this case was a basement prison. As an adult, she's tried to move on and she's become a freelance photographer, but she gets a job photographing a series of Portland murders. And there are several small things about it that she recognizes from the childhood that she doesn't like to think about. And then she receives a note that, a note that appears to be from the killer, possibly from her captor, that says that they'll see her soon. So the murderer of this string of murders and the predator who held her in that basement may be the same person. And she's going to have to delve into her past to be able to predict the killer's next move. It got a 4-star rating on Goodreads, and it got a starred review from Kirkus. I think I've told you guys about Kirkus before. One of the librarians here used to joke that you only read Kirkus to find out why not to buy a book, which is his way of saying they're a bit negative, but they liked this. They don't like anything. So if you're interested in The Lies We Bury, it comes out on April 1st. Next up is A Deadly Influence, which is a new series by Mike Omar. This series is going to be about the investigator Abby Mullins. She's a hostage negotiator for the NYPD. She also survived a cult, and her time with the cult ended in a fiery massacre, which it sounds very Waco, but I think there's probably more examples of a cult or a sect of a cult ending that way. But in her life now, one of the former cult members that she still knows contacts her and tells her that her name is Eden. Eden's son has been kidnapped. Abby's willing to investigate, but Eden isn't being terribly forthcoming about what her relationship with the cult is now, why her son would have been kidnapped, or really the information that Abby needs to investigate. She may find out overall that the cult is just not as gone as she thought they were. This already has over 500 ratings from the early readers on Goodreads, and it has a score of over 4 stars. If you're interested in, there was an SNL skit from like 2 weeks ago about how much women like to watch murder shows, and it's a song about murder shows. And then one of their boyfriends comes in and goes, but have you tried cult shows? And then he sings, it was Nick Jonas hosting, so he sang about cult shows for a minute. So yeah, this feels like this is like the nexus of those two things. But if you're interested in A Deadly Influence, it comes out April 1st. All right, Hummingbird Salamander by Jeff Vandemir. Vandemir wrote Annihilation, which was a well-received book that became a very well-received movie starring Natalie Portman. I keep meaning to watch that movie and I haven't gotten around to it. But Hummingbird Salamander is considered a thriller with elements of science fiction. The description is a bit vague, and I get the feeling that Vandemir tends to like to go cinematic and sort of speculative, which will make it hard to describe a book. But what little I got from the description was that Jane Smith, name in quotation marks for some reason, receives an envelope with a key to a storage unit in it. She goes to the storage unit and finds a taxidermied hummingbird and clues that then lead her to find a taxidermied salamander. I don't understand why she goes on a taxidermy scavenger hunt, but that seems to be the description of the book. I'm also very impressed that somebody convinced her when giving her a key to go look for dead animals. And after you receive the first dead animal, what makes you go continue to look for more dead animals? I can't get people to come to library programs, and we give out snacks. So I'm interested in what the bigger mystery could be here. This got a starred review from Kirkus again, and also from Publishers Weekly. So the critics are pretty happy about it. If you enjoyed Annihilation, I think you should definitely check this out. Or if you're just curious about it, it comes out April 16th. One more on this page. Okay. Endings by Linda L. Richards. I don't have a name for this main character, which I find a little weird. But at any rate, our main character, she loses everything and oh, this is the Hitman one. Okay. I think we don't have the name of the main character for a reason, because she loses everything and everyone she loves and decides, like you do, to become a contract killer, and turns out to be quite good at it. So I assume we don't have like a name because she's shady, mysterious, killer, crime person. She eventually hears about a serial killer, and no one has hired her to kill this killer, but she'd like to, just pro bono. And for some reason, this is going to result in her re-examining the choices she's made. I mean, being a contract killer has a lot of moral implications. I don't know if you're going to convince me of that when she's murdering a serial killer, but maybe. This is recommended for fans of The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo and Dexter. It definitely gives me Dexter vibes. If you're interested in endings, it comes out April 6th. All right, Just My Luck. By Adele Parks. As best I can tell, the author is British, and it was initially released over in the UK, or already released over in the UK. So this is about a group of friends who play the same 6 numbers in the lottery every week, in addition to sharing most of the important moments in their lives together. But there's a fight that breaks out within the group, and within a few days of that, their 6 numbers come up, and they've won 18 million pounds. So it's about the dark side of wealth and how friendships can be complicated and lead to betrayal and things like that. It currently has over 4,000 ratings on Goodreads, which is a lot, and it gives it a score of just under 4 stars. If you're interested in Just My Luck, it comes out April 6th. All right, another new series. This one a little bit more cozy than I think the last, or at least less culty. The Unkindness of Ravens by Emmy Hillard. This series of books is going to be about a librarian who solves crimes. So I'm immediately listening. Greer is the name of the librarian. She has a habit of stumbling over dead bodies, as you need to if you're going to be the protagonist in a mystery series. Unfortunately, the dead bodies she stumbles over in this first book are her husband. And after he's murdered, she leaves New York City for a small town called Raven Hill. Where she promptly discovers the body of her best friend. It's not funny, but it's a little bit funny. She loves mystery novels. She doesn't necessarily mean that that makes her qualified to investigate these murders, particularly because they seem to think that her friend died accidentally, and there's a couple of other accidental deaths that she doesn't think are accidental in the town. And since the police aren't really paying enough attention and aren't investigating this as they should, she's basically going to be forced to become an investigator. This is described as ideal for fans of Louise Penny and Dorothy L. Sayers. It got a starred review from Kirkus. They do star review cozies because they like to, to enjoy all different kinds of books, or explain to you why all different kinds of books should be bought. I'm surprised. You would think her husband being murdered and then her best friend being murdered is going to be a depressing book, but again, it's being described as a cozy, so she must be quite plucky. If you are interested in The Unkindness of Ravens, it comes out April 13th. Okay. What You Never Knew by Jessica Hamilton. This is told in alternating points of view between the living and the dead. The main action takes place on Averill Island, which is owned by the Bennett family. On the island, they have a 100-year-old cottage that's situated in a forest. June Bennett believes that her family's island, which is Averill Island, was sold after her father disappeared. But in her 40s, her sister dies, and she inherits the island, which apparently was still in their family. So she goes back to the island to see it for the first time in decades, to see it with adult eyes, but also begins seeing far more mysteries than she fully realized were going on there, including the possibility that her father was murdered and did not disappear. She travels in search of answers. She finds more mysteries. This is a debut novel, so the first novel by this author. It's been described as excellent for anyone who enjoyed The Lovely Bones, and the release date is August 13th. All right, Bitterroot Lake by Alicia Beckman. Alicia Beckman is a pseudonym for Leslie Budowitz. She's written cozies up until now. This is still a mystery. I'm a little surprised she had to adopt a pseudonym to write a non-cozy. I don't know, she did. She's an award-winning author, though. So this will probably be well told. But it's about 25 years ago during a celebratory weekend at a historic lodge, Sarah had a dream of an impending accident. She thought it was just a dream. She didn't really tell anyone. Then the accident genuinely happened and a young man was killed. She's been guilt-ridden ever since, but she doesn't return to the lodge for 25 years. When she finally does, she takes the same friends with her that she took on that other trip. And soon after they arrive, they're greeted with news of a murder that may be tied to that accident from 25 years ago. This looks interesting to me, but for some strange reason, I did not write down whether or not there are any early reviews. But as I said, Alicia Beckman, whose real name is Leslie Budowitz, is an Agatha award-winning author. I think that's what the award's called. It's just called the Agatha. But obviously that's a mystery award. She's an award-winning author. If you're interested in Bitterroot Lake, it comes out April 13th. All right. Gone Missing in Harlem by Carla F.C. Holloway. In this book, the Mosby family in 1927, or in the 20s, decides to leave North Carolina for Harlem and all of the promise that they find there as African Americans. Selma Mosby's baby is born at the same time that the papers are filled with the stories of the Lindbergh baby kidnapping. When Selma's baby goes missing, it does not get anything near the attention that the Lindbergh baby does. But fortunately for Selma, New York City has its first African-American detective, and he's willing to investigate. This is kind of being described as part mystery, part historical novel, and part family drama. A little of all of that. There's too few early readers for me to mention, but it got a starred review from Publishers Weekly, which is, of course, an endorsement you'd want to have if you could have it. But if you're interested in Gone Missing in Harlem, it comes out April 15th. All right. Final notes. Don't forget, if you want to hear about all the series installments coming in April, go ahead and drop me a note in the comments, and I will add it to our Goodreads group as a discussion thread. If you want to win, the girls are all nice here, are all so nice here. And most importantly, to be one of 2 people who get to win this, put I want to win and your MPL location for pickup in the comments. Don't forget that MPL Pre-Orders is the newsletter associated with this show. It gives you a list of all the books I'm going to talk about and a link to the catalog so you can put them on hold. Thanks for watching. Next week, I'll probably talk about more April pre-orders, maybe romance, we shall see. And I will see you next week. But first, I have to figure out this thing.